Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Daily Code Challenge. All right, so I'm so excited to be here today. Today we have another very interesting challenge to work on, and here is it. It's called Caesar Cipher. So it says write a method Caesar Cipher that takes in a string and a number. The function should return a new string where every character of the original is shifted num characters in the alphabet. Okay, so looking at line 7 as an example, we can see that here we have A. So A here is meant to shift to the next character because here we have 1, right? So that is B. So P, after P we know it's Q in the alphabetical order. After L we have M, and after E we have F. So that goes for the rest of them, right? So that goes for the rest of them, and then that's it. So how do we solve this? So for line 8, we can see that here we have 2. So we are not going to be changing B to the next character in the alphabet, which is C, but we are rather going to go 2 steps forward, right? So after B, we have CD. That's because here we have 2, because we want to move in steps of 2. So after B, we are expected to have a D. Then after O, we are expected to have a Q. After T, we are expected to have a V, right? And that goes for the rest of them. Okay, all right. So let's go into the code implementation proper. So we begin by writing the function keyword and also writing the function name, which is Caesar Cipher. Here, the instruction says that the method, it takes in 2 parameters, right? So we have string and we have number. So we change params to string and number as our parameters. Then the next thing, we know we need to loop through each of these characters here, right? So using a for loop, we say for, and we change our index to I. This has been a common practice for a very long while now. So here we change the array here to string, and also we remove this line of code because we don't need it. All right, so what's the next thing we need to do? All right, now we need to create a new string, right? So for every character we have here, we need to create a new character and then push it into a new string to form the returned result. So we need to write a new string. But before then, we need to be sure of, okay, yes, let us do that. So let's define a new string and let's call it new string and set it to an empty string, right? Okay, all right. So let's move on. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to also define a string of alphabets because we need to check, or rather, since we are actually dealing with the alphabet characters, we need to know which of the characters come after a given character, right? So we need to just simply come here and say const. Let's call our alphabet alpha and then write all the characters in the alphabet. So we say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Let's confirm A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Okay, all right. So we have the alphabet variable now called alpha. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is we need to know, we need to be very sure that our code works well, right? So what we need to do is we need to change this A to B and then change this P to Q, right? How do we do that? How do we do that? One thing we can actually do is we need to use what we call, we need to we need to at first add this A plus 1, right? That's add the index of A plus 1. That gives us 1, right? And we know in the alphabet, B occupies the first index. So when we do that, we know we are targeting B, right? So we need to understand, we need to know the index of A and add 1 to it to get B, right? So this is how we do that. So we simply say Okay, we say alpha, then let's find the index of A. How do you find the index of A? You can find the index of A by saying alpha dot index of what? A. And here we actually know that A here is the first character we have in this string. So simply we are going to say alpha I, right? So let's console this and see if we are doing the right thing. Let's console log it. So we say console log. Let's do this. Let's run this code to be very sure. Okay, first of all, let's comment. Let's just use line 15 as our case study. So let's run again. So here we have A, B, C, D, E. Okay, here we have A, B, C, D, E. So what exactly is happening here? What do we need to do? What is that we are not doing correctly? Okay, so here we've not used this string parameter, right? Because this represents the string, right? So in, instead of writing alpha here, we simply just put string here. So what we actually want is that this string I, it represents every character in Apple when iterated, right? So we want to find the index of each of these characters. So taking A for example, the index of A here is 0, right? The index of A here is 0, right? So what we do is, so let me just take that again. Here, string I here, it represents each of the characters in this string, right? Now let's take for example, we have A, which is represented by string I. Alpha dot index of A. Looking at this alpha string here, alpha dot index of A, this gives us 0 because the index of A here is 0, right? So that's simply like saying alpha 0. So we are simply finding the 0 index of alpha, right? So that gives us 0, right? Then what we do next is we are going to add this plus 1. But before that, let's save this code and let's run. Let's see what we actually have. Okay, so here we have Apple returned again, right? So we can see that what we have here is Apple, Apple, right? So what we want to do now is that we want to move each of these characters one step forward to the next character in the alphabet string. So how do we do that? We simply just come here and say plus 1, plus 1, right? So let's say plus 1. So this 1 is coming from this part here. So let's save this and let's run this code. Okay, awesome. So here we have BQQMF, which is exactly what we have here. BQQMF, right? BQQMF. So this is going to work, but this is going to work for just line 15 because line 15 here, the second argument is 1. Line 16, the second argument is expected to be 2, right? So if we want to solve this for line 16, let's comment this line 15 and then let's uncomment line 15 and then let's change this to 2. So let's run this code again. So here we can see that we have DQQVECOR, which is the same thing as what we have here because we've pushed each of these characters 2 steps forward in the alphabet string, right? Now, this is not going to be scalable that much because we are hard coding the second argument, which is 1 and 2. So simply to make this more dynamic, we simply change 2 here to num. Num is a parameter that represents this argument. So we simply write num. Let's comment on this code too. Let's save this. Let's clear this console a bit and then let's run again. Okay, it says num is not defined. Okay, so here it's called number, right? So we simply just call it number here as well. Let's save again and let's run this code. Okay, good. So here we have BQQMF which is what we have here. Here we have DQQVACOR, which is also what we have here, right? So this actually works fine. This works fine, right? So the next one, let's also check for line 17. Let's work for line 17, and let's comment line 15 and 16. Let's clear this console as well. So let's run this code. Okay, here we have IF okay, so here we have undefined IFVE, which is here. But there's a mistake here, right? Not necessarily a mistake, we are still going to implement it, right? So if you look at this part very well, what happened is that the index of Z in the alphabet is 25, right? Now 25 plus 4, that's 29. Now we are pushing 29 as saying alpha square bracket 29. But alpha itself does not get to 29 characters, right? So this is undefined. So what we need to do is a simple step. If you recall the modulus operator, let's comment on this entire code and let's see how the modulus works. Now, if we have, let's console log an example. Let's say console log 2 modulus 5. Let's save this and let's run this code. We have 2, right? Because that's 0 times remainder 2. So what the modulus does is that it returns the remainder of a fraction, right? So let's change 2 here to something bigger than 5. Let's say 7. 7 modulus 5 gives us 2. Okay, let's use 11, or rather let's use 9. 9 modulus 5, this will give us 4, right? Because that's 1 time remainder 4, right? Now, since in the alphabet we have just 26 characters, right? And then here, the Z here plus 4 here, the index of Z here plus 4 gives us 29. We need to use the modulus, right? Let's do 29 modulus the length of the characters in the alphabet, which is 26. So that gives us 29 modulus 26. Let's run this code and see. So we have 3. So this 3 is going to be put into this alpha here, and then it becomes alpha index 3. Here we can see that we have this alpha. The third index for alpha is 0, 1, 2, 3. That's D. That's why D is gotten here. So we are going to be using this modulus to complete this code. So I'm simply going to comment this and then uncomment these ones as well. So what that means is that we simply just come here, and then what we do is let's put this entire code in brackets and let's use the modulus. We say modulus alpha dot length. Why? Because the value we have here is 29, which is way beyond the length of characters in alpha, right? So we need to return the remainder of the characters we have using the modulus alpha length, right? So the alpha length here gives us 26. Should give us 26. Yes. So this is just the dynamic way of working this part, right? Okay, so let's save this and let's run again. Okay, awesome. So now we have DIFVE because here we have D. Because why? 29 modulus 6 gives us 3. That means that 3 is what is passed into this entire code here. So we'll be left with alpha square bracket 3, which gives us D. Now, we are not expected to console log this result, right? But instead, we are supposed to push this entire code into a new string. And we've already defined the new string, which is this. So instead of saying console log, we are simply going to come here and say new string plus equal to this, right? And then also we remove this part, and then we return this new string because it finally gets updated by pushing these characters this num times, right? So let's uncomment these ones as well. and then let's return new string. Let's save this code. Let's clear the console once again, and then let's run our code. Awesome. So here we have BQQMF, which is what we have here. Here we have DQQVACUR, which is also what we have here. Then here we have DIFVE, which is also what we have here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, wow, this was a very interesting challenge to work on, right? So I am so glad that we were able to solve it, right? And truthfully, I actually learned a lot trying to solve this, right? A lot. So I believe you also must have learned one or two things working on this particular challenge. And if you find this video interesting as well, please give it a like, subscribe to this channel, Dev with Excel. And at this point, I'll say keep coding and bye.